All right, we're back again for another episode of Betting Weekly Tennis Live on the Bet Rivers Network. Mitch, Michals, Tim Dennis on this Monday. We're gearing up for quite the slate of action in Asia. We've got a final in Tokyo between two of the top players in the men's game. The WTA Beijing 1000 event is heating up, and we've got some pretty interesting and maybe unprecedented semifinals in the Beijing 500 event, all part of the Bet Rivers Network. Download the app, best place to make all your tennis bets, and follow the socials at Because We Win on X, on Instagram, and on YouTube. Joining me now, still probably celebrating the Ryder Cup, it's Tim Dennis. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Mitch. Yeah, still celebrating. I saw that a few of those players might have a few sore heads this morning the way it went, but hey, it got very tight from your side.
Got you, Mike, there. It wasn't me. I didn't mute you there. That wasn't me cutting you off.
Yeah,
gloating,
your boys did a great job to get it competitive. But yeah, Europe fortunately did enough the first 2 days to just hang on. So yeah, good start.
Yeah, team competitions. I mean, I know Laver Cup kind of took a lot of. As we look at the live comment here in the chat, we encourage everybody to join in. Yeah, you know what? Getting in live betting any WTA player down a set, you're going to have opportunities. What's funny about that comment too is that it's a great day, great payout. But think about the live lines when you were into the tiebreak or some of those championship points down in the Pegula had. There's nothing like tennis, right? When you're on the live out, because you can't. We keep saying that. Even Europe tried yesterday. Like you can't really run out the clock. There's always just opportunities to have to hit that extra shot. And Pegula digging deep. Another tough loss for Emma Raducanu with match points.
Yeah, I was in a similar boat there. I actually bet Barbara Krejcikova to beat her in a previous tournament. She was down. I think she saved 3 match points in that match too, exactly the same as Pegula did today. And so yeah, tough beat for Raducanu there. Back-to-back tournaments where she's had 3 match points to take the actual match in straight sets and has ended up losing the final set. And it was no surprise there that third set, went the way of Pegula quite comfortably. I think as soon as she lost that tiebreak, the match was pretty much done as far as Raducanu was concerned today.
So one of the things too with Beijing being 1000, Tim, is the schedule's still kind of staggered. So I think it helps Pegula. We'll get to her match versus Kostyuk, but that match isn't until tomorrow. So we got a full day of rest and recovery versus kind of the old slate where you just be back on the court. That third set was 6-0, but yeah, just looking around what tennis has had on the WTA thousands, there hasn't been a lot of crazy upsets. I thought Eva Lys going through the draw, beating Rybakina, was probably the biggest domino to fall on the women's side, but we still have so many big names available as we gear up for the 1000 on the women's side in Beijing.
Yeah, certainly disappointing from Rybakina yesterday. I fancied her for this tournament, and she was very disappointing. I think she had an issue with an elbow, perhaps, and she served very poorly. Whether that was down to it hasn't sort of been confirmed yet or anything. But yeah, disappointing from her again, and on the back of which looks like a really disappointing season for her. But yeah, like you say, those having the day breaks because of these thousands events are certainly going to suit these players well. Obviously, Pegula, she didn't have to come from a different continent, but she obviously played Billie Jean King Cup and she had an early finish there. But definitely having the day break after a 3-set match like today is going to stand her in good stead.
Disappointing season, but she's still like 8th in the race right now. But that loss is huge for Rybakina with Paulini nipping at her heels, followed by Alexandrova. Will Pegula lay an egg next? It's Kostyuk's coming up, and she's kind of been lurking. I think she's a player that can out hit her. We're going to get to that match and others on the docket. But yeah, it's really what we're looking at first. And I want to start off with the bang is that Alcaraz Fritz final coming up in Tokyo. Fritz defeated Jensen Brooksby. Draw kind of opening up for him. Alcaraz, Tim, he's been going through kind of a tougher gauntlet of players. He beat Casper Ruud in 3 tough sets. We've seen him pushed a little bit, but the numbers speak for themselves, right? His best pro season in terms of win-losses, up to 66 wins, doing it with flash and pizzazz. But, getting back to basics after the Laver Cup and into another final.
Yeah, into another final. Amazing. Like you said, fascinating to see because we saw what's so good about these two is they just keep turning up time and time again. We've seen, I think today must have been the most amount of withdrawals I've seen from a tournament on the same day in must have been all year. I mean, the players were falling by the wayside here. There, and Musetti retired, didn't he? A couple on the women's side, obviously a few in the weeks before. Whereas sort of Sinner and Alcaraz, they just obviously Sinner had that issue in the final where he had to retire against Alcaraz, but they just keep turning up and getting through, don't they? And Alcaraz, another one. What it looked like in his first match he played this week when he sort of pulled up on his ankle, whether you thought, okay, here we go. But I mean, he got up, won the match, and as kept going as if nothing's happened. So a chance for Fritz, maybe. Obviously, Laver Cup might be. You'd like to see Alcaraz will probably be a bit more locked in than he was in that match, and this might mean a bit more to him. So Fritz is going to come in as a big underdog, and he's got it all to prove, I think.
Let's take a look at the board right now. We've got other bets in plays. This match will be in the wee hours of the night stateside here, but it's a great opportunity for Fritz. Plus 370 on the money line. Alcaraz is minus 530. You see that spread, 3.5 games, big 22.5 over-under number. There's some set betting as well. So you can kind of take a look at any of the bets that you like if you want to call your shot or get froggy. I think the big question that we're going to have answered, Tim, is what do we take away from the Laver Cup? Were there lessons learned that can be applied? And it goes both ways, right? Did Fritz find something being more aggressive? Did he understand, different ways to maybe attack Alcaraz, who, yes, had a bad day, but maybe there's an opening there if he has another day that's not quite at his illustrious peak. But on the flip side, is Alcaraz going to adjust course? It's that, fighting IQ thing. Will Alcaraz make adjustments? And how do the courts that, by all accounts, Tim, play lightning fast, how will that factor into this matchup? So a lot of different storylines going into the final.
Yeah, Fritz should take some confidence. I mean, perhaps I think we're all probably going to know that Alcaraz probably wasn't at his best in that Laver Cup, but Fritz, from his point of view, he's gone on and won that match in straight sets, so he can have that sort of feather in his cap and have that confidence coming in. Whether truly deep down he believes that Alcaraz is at his best, I doubt he probably does, but he's still got a victory over him. And obviously before that, he took a set off him at Wimbledon, but fairly comfortable there for Alcaraz again. And obviously in their previous match, Alcaraz was beating both of those in straight sets. So I think it's all about mentality, isn't it? Fritz is going to have to be at his top level, because with it being a sort of a final, Alcaraz is going to be fully sort of switched on, isn't he? And trying to get his hands on that trophy, and Fritz will need to up his levels. And they've got a thing there, haven't they? These guys, I think Sinner and Alcaraz have spoke of it, about trying to sort of make changes to beat each other, and perhaps whether they had that already in beating the other guys on tour. I guess we'll find out when these two meet tomorrow. But obviously Alcaraz a heavy favourite. And you said that the courts being quick conditions, that should suit Fritz, though, shouldn't it?
It should. And I'm just looking at, look, there is so much on Bet Rivers to get in on this. I was looking at the lines. I think we're saying similar things, right? It's hard to beat Alcaraz. I don't know, in a final with his record, especially in finals, that saying Fritz is going to win is the smart thing to do. I think a competitive match is likely, and I think that there's an opportunity here, Tim. So I'll just throw a couple bets at you, and we can just kind of see, like it, don't like it, buy, sell, or hold, that old game. Fritz to win a set right now is plus 123 on Bet Rivers. That over-under came down to 21.5 in the current moment, and we're looking at over 21.5 is minus 132. But the one that's staring me in the face right now is Fritz's total games in this is 9.5. If you go over Fritz to go over 9.5 games, you're getting a pretty solid minus 113. So I think that last one would be the one I would like. Fritz to just win 10 total games in this match, minus 113.
Yeah, that's probably a good way of looking at it. I think, obviously, if Fritz can serve well, which you'd like to think he should. We've seen, even though Alcaraz has been good this week, we have seen him have the odd sort of lapse. Obviously, Casper Ruud took that first set against him today, and then he had to sort of lock on mentally, which he did to his credit. But yeah, Fritz, I think if I was looking at there, if Fritz can serve well, which he should be able to, then as long as he can keep taking hold of his deals, then he should be covering that 9.5, he said.
Yeah, that's the number.
And obviously, if Alcaraz an off day, and obviously Fritz goes and wins this match comfortably, then that bet's going to cash. So you don't need Fritz to win this match. You probably just need him to win a set to cover that, and that's almost certain to cash. So that's the way I'd be looking at going in that kind of market too.
Could do it with two tight sets too. We were talking about that as well. If Alcaraz wins, in straight sets, but it's, heavy 4, 5, 6, tiebreak, which a tiebreak right now on Bet Rivers is, looking at this right now, it's in the plus. So a tiebreak prop is a solid option as well. So maybe a sprinkle on that one tiebreak plus 128. So if Fritz has
or even if you, I mean, like I say, if Fritz loses 7-5, 7-5, that bet's still going to cash for you. So probably a good way of going.
Yeah. Well, I just calling a shot to beat Alcaraz in a final. Like, that's a good one, right? Like, I feel like he's about as good in finals as anyone on tour right now. I mean, he wins all his matches almost, but like on tour right now in finals, he is 23-7. And you're talking about
7-2 this year,
that's, I mean, and you're getting to finals, you're playing good players too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, he's been lights out. But this is big for Fritz, right? He wants to prove he belongs in this match, in this discussion. Like, I heard a coach say it recently. You have to prove you can do it on smaller tournaments. Like, you got to prove you can beat Alcaraz. And he did it last time. Can he keep it going? But, maybe Alcaraz looks ahead too. I know I'm like fishing for motive, Tim, but with Shanghai coming up, maybe is, eyes on a different prize. So we'll see.
Well, I think a final, though, he's going to be pretty locked in, isn't he? You don't get many chances to play finals, especially against the world's best. So I think he'll be concentrating on tomorrow and not look any further down the road for the time being.
We're going to get to the daily double here in a second, but I just want to mention too, we don't have the line for it because it just went final a little bit ago. We'll see if it pops up, but Medvedev just thrashed Zverev, which we said he gets Lerner Tien, and we expect Tien advanced because Musetti had to retire, but something poetic about this, right? Like, Tien was the guy that beat Medvedev in January, and that started Medvedev's downfall, but a chance to maybe beat him here. Lerner, who Tim is now into the top 40 as the young American after this event, so that's great for him. But any thoughts just initially on Medvedev, Tien, or how you might bet that or back that in a way?
Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait to see the prices come out to see what you think. But I mean, as far as Medvedev goes, credit to him. He's obviously been in a slump for the majority of the year. I think he's down to down to 18 in the world now, I think, isn't he? So yeah, certainly not the way he would have saw this year going. And full credit to him. He's obviously got a new coach there. He's obviously worked really hard. I think after he played his match the other day, he was still out there on the practice courts getting more in to try and work on more stuff. So yeah, he's done really well and beating Zverev. I mean, Zverev probably, he'll need to now take a look at somebody like Medvedev to see it can be done, because he's been in a funk for a long time now also, hasn't he? So he really is in a slump and needs to get himself back on track. But yeah, looking at Medvedev, it'll be interesting to see when these prices come out. But Medvedev's done well today. Obviously, Tien came through with that Musetti withdrawal in that set there, and to sort of give him a bye to get through. But like you say, Tien beaten Medvedev before, and Medvedev's probably still looking for a little bit of confidence. So that could be an interesting overs match, looking where the line comes in.
One win over a player that he's going to be favored against, and Lerner Tien, and Medvedev's going to be back in the top 15. So a lot riding on this matchup. They're all bunched up. It's Tommy Paul, Bublik. Like, there's a lot of players right there. So good for Medvedev to get back on track. The other side, it's part of your daily double. So we're going to play the graphic. We're going to show the graphic of the matches now. One men's match, one women's match. ATP Beijing semifinal. Jannik Sinner taking on Alex de Minaur. De Minaur so great in the Laver Cup. His reward is Jannik Sinner, who's bouncing back in Beijing after his U.S. Open. He's a huge favorite on the money line, minus 715. The spread is 5.5. The over-under is 20.5. So looking at this, and we have other bets and plays on this match too. But Tim, the first leg of the daily double, what is it involving Sinner and de Minaur?
Yeah, Sinner de Minaur is where we're going to start, and I think the head-to-head doesn't make good reading for de Minaur. 10-0 in favour of Sinner, and I think including 9 of those have come in straight sets wins. And I think the only set de Minaur's taken off him was back in 2020, and I think since then he's only won 28% of his games played against Jannik Sinner. So that kind of tells you the task he's got at hand. Sinner's only lost on a hard court this year to Alcaraz, nobody else. I think Sinner's probably a little bit fresher than de Minaur. Obviously, de Minaur playing Laver Cup and then travelling over here. I think obviously that's sort of pretty much a walkover. He got to go against Mensik, had to play a few games, but pretty much a walkover. Should stand de Minaur in good stead. But he had a similar situation last month in the tournament. So yeah, de Minaur probably a little bit fatigued here, I think, and I think everything is in Sinner's favour. I think in the last 18 sets these two have played, de Minaur has lost them all, and he's won a total of 55 games across those 18 sets, which averages out at 3.05 games per set. So yeah, just sort of looking at that for me, I thought there was a couple of ways. I thought maybe the Sinner -5.5 plus 112 could be a way to go, but I just thought the slightly safer bet was under 20.5 total games at -125 was probably where I wanted to head here. I mean, Sinner just been so dominant, probably the fresher of the two. And yeah, I thought the under 20.5 games was the way to go. At the obviously slightly shorter price, -125, but I wouldn't put anybody off Sinner covering that handicap of -5.5 either. But as far as the daily double goes, yeah, we'll go with that under 20.5 total games.
There's always a chance, right, where if Sinner starts sluggish, he can just storm his way to an under too. We've seen him close pretty strong. But yeah, it's a tough matchup for de Minaur. Stylistically, you think maybe he's got chances against higher ranked players that are a little different, but it's been tough for him. Tim, looking at the other daily double, and yeah, it's maybe that's the case though. Maybe it's Sinner trying to find his form. And you look at the other side of things, like he talked about at the US Open, which you mentioned, figuring out ways to beat Alcaraz. The worry that you would have if you're backing Sinner or an under bet is he's trying to implement things that could take him a step back against the field because it's just to beat Alcaraz. So maybe it's a little too early for that, given we'll see what happens in the offseason, but he's been pretty open that I have to change my game to beat Carlos.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's mixing it up, whether it's a few more serve volleys, but I think against de Minaur's said it himself. Sinner is his toughest opponent stylistically, and that's really showed in their head-to-head record. And I just think de Minaur doesn't have the weapons to trouble Sinner, does he? Doesn't have a huge serve. Consistency is his key, making him play a lot of balls, but forehand, backhand, wing, Sinner's I think he'll just overpower him. And I'd be, even at this sort of latter stage of a season in not a Grand Slam event, I just think Sinner's going to get this done comfortably. And de Minaur has voiced it before. Yeah, he knows this guy's a difficult guy for him to beat, and he just doesn't seem to have the weapons to do it, I don't think.
I wonder if de Minaur is like fully backed him because he didn't look good at the Davis. Was the Laver Cup a blip in the radar, or is he back to feeling like himself? And I guess this match will be a big evidence point of one way or the other. The other leg of the daily double involves the women's match. We'll throw this graphic back up. Surprise matchup here is Eva Lys, who we mentioned got through Rybakina into the fourth round, having the tournament, having really the season of her life, against another younger player, Mccartney Kessler, who's bursting into the top 50, really just over a full year now as a pro. Pretty tight line, both minus. The spread is razor thin at a half game. Over under 21.5, Tim. So how do we see this one going, and how does it factor into the daily double?
Yeah, not quite as a consistent head-to-head as the previous match, but yeah, Lys leads that 2-0, winning a very tight match in Osaka last year, which was 7-6, 3-6, 7-5 in her favour. But looking at the stats of that match, it was Kessler who actually led the service points won and return points won totals, I think 102 to 98. So she probably consider herself a little bit unfortunate to win that match. Just, I think the last 10 points, I think 8 of them went Lys's way, and she just got the better of her. I think the other time they met in US Open qualifying, and I think that on that occasion, Lys was actually a -250 chance. That kind of tells you where they were coming in. Whereas in the previous tournaments, a little bit like today, they're going to be pretty much a pick and match. So Lys gained her first ever top 10 win, like I said, beating what was pretty much an error-strewn Rybakina in that last round. And I think she had 20 break points in that match, and she managed to take 7. I can't believe there's many players who've had 20 break points in a 3-set match against Rybakina this year. Just tells you how she was serving, which was not to her usual standard. Obviously, Kessler, she's been 8-3 since she lost to Vondrousova in the third round of the US Open. So I think she beat Mersens, and then she managed to get a victory against a retired Krejcikova here the last time. She's held her serve 67% of the time here, and she's been broken 9 times in 3 matches, which is not too bad. So But I think this game is going to be very similar to that Japanese game they played in Osaka. I think it's going to be long and quite drawn out. So I thought over 21.5 total games at, I think it was -115. It's slightly drifted to now. Looked a pretty good bet to me. Sort of again similar to the previous match. I wouldn't put anybody off. They'd go over 2.5 sets at +138. But I thought perhaps the safer way to go was I thought over 21.5 games at a slight minus money was the way to get this onside.
Right, and again, just kind of to elaborate for first time viewers or people new to it, you're being safer because you're worried about like a really quick set or something along those lines, and you want to give yourself the opportunity that 2 long sets could get it done.
Well, when it's sort of 21.5, obviously if you can have a first set, obviously even if it's 7-5 rather than 7-6, and then 7-5 and 6-4 is going to add up to 22, so that's going to cover you. But that's just to sort of bring it on side. I mean, if you can get the obviously you're almost certain if you get the 3 sets come in that's going to cash. You count yourself pretty unlucky if you didn't. But I mean, if you went sort of obviously it's plus money for the 3.5 sets because it's all of a chance, but we can win both ways here. I think obviously it's a long drawn out 2 sets and it's quite tight, and let's say Lys wins the first set and then goes and nicks the second, and you can still cash that over 21.5, whereas sometimes you might be able to come a little bit unstuck. I just thought it was the safer way to go.
So that's the Sinner and de Minaur over, or the Sinner de Minaur under, and the over in Lys and Kessler. And what's the payout for today's daily
overs
double?
In the Kessler? I think the parlay plays +237 when I had a look earlier, and that was at -125 and -115. +237 the parlay.
Nice. That's a good one. And depending on the schedules, these matches could be going on simultaneously. So you can have both screens up and just rooting for more tennis in one match and less tennis in the other match.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hopefully we'll get it the right way around. Sometimes when you do these bets, you get them flip-flopped and they go vice versa. But yeah, hopefully we can get this the correct way. But yeah, like you say, both matches at a similar time. And even if you are watching them live, you can bet live and watch live, and you can get involved in play because there'll be plenty of markets to get involved with.
Yeah, we saw it. Well, we saw it again. Raducanu Pegula, perfect in-play matchup. And so have some of these other matches as we move along in Betting Weekly Tennis Live. Mitch Michals and Tim Dennis, the Beijing action heating up. We even have future markets on as we pull the graphic back up with Iga as a pretty huge favorite. Her match against Navarro, not on this board, but we do have a line on that we can touch on. But we talked about Lys and we talked about the Kessler matchup. Looking at the rest of this board, other matchups stand out to you? Obviously, Tim, Andreeva Cartel is a pretty lopsided line. Sonia Cartel has done a great job to get to this point. The draw is setting up nicely for Andreeva, but Muchova, Kostyuk, Muchova, they're all in that underdog range where it's very possible, we've seen time and time again, that they could win outright or at the very least keep it close. So do you have a plus money player on this board you think is a live dog to not only cover but to win the match?
Yeah, we spoke very sort of briefly just before we went on air that the price that sort of surprised me. I thought Marta Kostyuk at +155 was a good dog there, perhaps against Pegula. Obviously, like we spoke about, Pegula having the day off should suit her well, but Kostyuk's been very impressive, hasn't she? The last, even since I think it's Billie Jean King Cup, when obviously Ukraine did really well there, and she's one of those players that's sort of playing for a country and what's going on in that part of the world. They're sort of really up for that, and that sort of could sort of propel her forward into the rest of the end of the season here. And Pegula we saw sort of scrape through against Raducanu today, but yeah, Kostyuk just looking, I mean, she's won her last 4 matches all in straight sets, so she'll be full of confidence, and I don't think she's going to have a huge amount to fear here from Pegula. I think Pegula's won 3 of the last 4, but Kostyuk did win their penultimate match on a similar sort of surface there. So, I mean, I don't think she's going to have too much to fear here from Pegula. And I thought sort of +1, was it 165 it was there on the line? So 155.
155, yeah.
Yeah, was more than fair. I thought it would be a little bit tighter than that.
I like that. We had a comment in the chat, too. To win a set is -162, which is a little pricey, but I was looking back at the stats. You'd have to go back to City Open Emma Raducanu, a match that obviously she finished. There was some injury stuff in there, but she's been not losing in straight sets very often. So it's been a while since it's happened. So maybe if you want to just play on the cautious side to win a set there, but I'm with you. Her game is streaky at times, but we say it right for an underdog. Sometimes it's those streaky players you want to back, and looks like she's on right now. So it could be one of the ebbs that's flowing upward, not downward for the Ukrainian.
Yeah, and I just had a quick look at that sort of San Diego match, and Kostyuk took a very tight first set, 7-6. And then this will be an interesting angle to sort of keep in play if you are betting in play tomorrow. Obviously, that tiebreak went her way, and then she won the second set comfortably 6-1. Fairly similar to how the Raducanu game went today. I think if you see a player sort of lose a really tight first set, perhaps this time of year, it's not too hard for them to think, maybe, okay, I'll down tools and I'll look forward to the next tournament. And maybe you're looking maybe unders play in that sort of second set or deciding set. If you think a player's been sort of a little bit unfortunate to lose that previous set, that could be a good way of going when you're looking at the next set coming up.
I also, and yeah, there's been a consistency factor with Pegula back to back, and Kostyuk's going to go for shots. It could lead to errors. I think against, and I don't have the data in front of me, Tim, but against more premier players in the class of Kostyuk and above, I feel like Pegula's been playing a lot of over matchups, win or lose. Like, U.S. Open, the draw broke, and Krejcikova was gassed, obviously. But if you go through her whole year, she's played a lot of physical 3-set matchups against the top players.
Yeah, for me, she's a little bit like de Minaur on the men's side. Sort of consistency is her key, isn't it? She doesn't have huge weapons off either side. She's obviously very solid, not blessed with a huge serve. So players get a chance against her, but like I said, she makes up for that with extreme consistency. And if you get players who are on their day, chances are these matches are going to go over. But for me, Kostyuk is hitting the ball extremely cleanly at the moment, and she won't fear Pegula at all coming into this. And I was surprised the market wasn't a little bit closer there. So yeah, plus 155. If I was looking for a plus money shot on that matches of 4 to choose from, was it?
It pains me to admit this too, but I think Muchova is a very, very in play against Anisimova. And I actually think this match could go a long way because I think the winner could go on a little run and keep it going. And we know how good Amanda is, two-time, last 2 major finals, has, been playing her best top 5 level. Muchova has always been one, Tim, right? That you're always worried about her if you're betting against her. Like if you've got a future, you don't want to run into Muchova. And she hasn't had to play much tennis. Like Badosa retires, doesn't even play a set. Preserving her body has been big. And as we pull the graphic back up, I think the line's moving it's moving down because this has been similar. But I think she's a live underdog in this situation. I think she's someone that a lot of these top players fear to go against.
Yeah, and she plays well in this part of the world, doesn't she? Obviously, I think she was a beaten finalist here last year. And Anisimova a little bit, like we spoke about that match earlier, or sorry, what we were talking about the unders in the set betting earlier. Obviously, she came through that marathon first set. I think was it 14-12 or 12-10 in that tiebreak that she came through, and then I think she won the next set 6-love to her credit. But Muchova's definitely going to give her a chance. I think this is their first head-to-head, so they don't know each other overly well. I'm sure they know their games and their styles well. I imagine Muchova. I think the key to Anisimova is trying to keep it away from her backhand, isn't it? As much as you can. Yeah. We all know how much of a weapon that is for her. But yeah, a good chance for her here. I think if she can take the first set, that's probably obviously a good recipe for success against her. And if she can take that, she'll be looking to beat her here. But I think that first set is really key, as they are in a lot of games this part of the season.
Anisimova, it's similar to Pegula, right? It wasn't a match point situation, but plays Zhang that crazy first set tiebreaker. It's 13-11 and then wins a bagel in set 2. So just grasps it immediately and runs downhill. But for Muchova, she enters this game having only played so far to get to this point of the tournament. It's only been 23 total games. So she has been fresh on court, ready for this one. Just anything else as we look at Beijing on the women's side? I know Andreeva is the big favorite there. And looking at, I mentioned too, we have a line on Iga, and Iga, a huge favorite going in. But Iga in her match against Emma Navarro, as we were up for that, is minus 715. Navarro plus 480. The game spread in that, Tim, is 5.5. So if you want Navarro to cover 5.5 games in that matchup, you'll get plus money at plus 110. So it's priced a specific way, to say the least.
Yeah, first thoughts there on that sort of. I'm not surprised that the 5.5 is plus money in Navarro's favor, because my initial thoughts were Iga could probably cover that, so that's no surprise that it's minus money on her side, because Navarro, again, not a player blessed with huge weapons, and we've seen how well Iga's playing at the moment. And I just think, again, we said it a number of times now, I don't want to keep saying I'm saying the same thing, but I think if Iga takes that first set comfortably, just imagine her to it, it'd be no shock to the front runner that she is if she goes steamrolls that second set. So I'd be looking at getting with Iga on handicaps and under games and whatever it may be. I'd be against Navarro for sure.
Played 4 sets. 6-0, 6-2, 6-1, 6-2. So there you go. That's for. And I know the first match, Navarro was, I think, still in college when they played in Charleston, so it's a little different. But they played in Australia this year, 6-1, 6-2. So that's going to be a tough one. But yeah, I mean, I think the only other match in Beijing I wanted to look at and was curious your thoughts on, Tim, because we have the whole board of matchups and opportunities, but the only other one was Potapova and Noskova, because I think Noskova's been kind of working under the radar too at minus 250 in this matchup, but she hasn't quite get the hype as some of the other young players, and I was wondering why that might be, because I was looking at the results and I think her results have been pretty much on par with a lot of young players her age group.
Yeah, I've been impressed with her. She's sort of come onto my radar at the start of this year in the Middle East swing, on sort of conditions that are going to be fairly similar to what we're seeing here. I think Potapova beat her at the French Open, but before that, and this was a couple of years ago now, when they were, Noskova was a teenager, but she beat her in Adelaide there down in Australia. But it's no surprise to see her as a sort of heavy minus money favourite. Obviously coming through against Zheng today, another player who retired to add to the list. Whether that's the same issue she's been off with all season, I think that was what was reported today. So yeah, question marks over her. But yeah, I think Noskova in these conditions, she looks a real good player going forward, and she's still only 20, I think, and I think she'll have too many weapons for Potapova here. Yeah, I think she'll get this done fairly cleanly.
Well, she's Czech, so that means she'll probably win a major somehow in the next 3 years. Just find a way to a major title.
Figure it out, yeah.
Yeah, and then I guess the other one was, do you think Bencic has what it takes to make things interesting against Coco, who it's not pretty, but she gets it done. She finds a way, and is it minus 265 favorite on Bet Rivers right now with Coco in the driver's seat. But can Belinda Bencic, who's trying to find her form again, make this interesting?
Yeah, I think whether Goff will probably give her a chance to make it interesting, won't we? As we've seen sort of time and time again in these Coco Gauff matches, that's she's obviously been working on that serve, but it's still fragile. It still looks weak, and I think these are really sort of our conditions where Bencic can thrive. She's caused Coco a lot of problems in the past. She's looked pretty good so far this week, and I think Coco will give her a chance. So I'd be looking to get with Bencic in the sort of player games or to win a set. Or probably, I mean, whether you want to go overs, could Bencic win it clean, you might end up losing there. But I'd be looking to get with Bencic somehow, because I think Coco will give her a chance. And I think it's unlikely that she plays a really clean and tidy match and gets rid of Bencic comfortably.
We had 15 breaks of serve in that Fernandez-Coco match. But I mean, say this positively, only like 5 or 6 double faults for Coco. So she's dialing that part back. There's still some issues she's working through. Fernandez is a very tough component. It's pretty simple, right? Just if you're Coco, just don't give away free points in games and give yourself a chance with your athleticism. I wonder Bencic. I would favor her in I don't think this surface and this environment is the best for her. I think grass, obviously, certain other surfaces would be better, but I'm not sure that Bencic is going to be able to hang with Coco long. Maybe her game prop, but to win on the money line scares me a little bit.
Yeah, you obviously that's why Goss is favourite. You think if it does go long, she's probably going to come through, especially the stage they are. We know she's good at going that third set. I'd like to have to check what her Goff's third set record is, but I'd imagine it's more in her favour than against her. So if it does go long, you'd be looking to get with Goff. But I do think Bencic can cause her problems, because I would be surprised if she, like I said, she plays that clean and tidy match and gets rid of her here sort of comfortably in straight sets. Like you said, that serving probably still a bit cleaner, but as you'll really sort of find out where you are with that, the further the tournament goes and the more the pressure ramps up, because yes, still an issue there for me, I think.
I think, and I was looking at this too. She beat Volley Nets in the first round here. Volley Nets is ranked outside the top 60 right now. Volley Nets is ranked 96, so way outside. I don't think she has a win with a player Bencic ranked in like the top 70 or 80 since Wimbledon. So, the results haven't really been there. Obviously, the competition. So it's a step up. We'll have to see. Rounding things down here on Betting Weekly Tennis Live, Mitch, Michals, Tim Dennis. Another reminder as well. You can always check out the newsletter as well. We got a great newsletter at bettingweeklystudios.com. It's got all your needs and notes on all the experts as we gear up for soccer season, football season. There's just so much baseball playoffs, and with the Ryder Cup in the rear view, there's so much going on there. So make sure you check out the newsletter back at bettingweeklystudios.com. Any final thoughts, Tim, as we look up? There is a future market now for Beijing too. So if you want to get some action on Beijing, Coco's plus 375 in the second slot. You have Iga plus 145. Andreeva and Anisimova 600. I still like Andreeva at value plus 600 to win this tournament.
Yeah, I think if I was having a bet now and I hadn't had a bet pre-tournament, I'd probably be looking to get with Andreeva. She's looked very impressive so far, hasn't she? And sort of plus 600. I mean, as opposed to plus 140, Iga fairly short there. Obviously, even though she's looked in great form, we've seen Andreeva cause her problems in similar conditions to this before. So I think if I was having a bet now, I'd be coming sort of down with on the side of Andreeva. She's looked excellent so far. I agree with you.
And we got a Shanghai bracket as well. It's just interesting, right? I'm still stunned that we got Djokovic playing, but got some sponsor obligations, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I'm sure there's reasons, whether they're tennis reasons or financial reasons. Like you say, there's maybe a few obligations that could well be it.
It'll be good to see. What does he have in the tank? Is he able to make things happen? I saw Alcaraz would probably he's playing the winner of Lerner Tien and Kekmanovic in the first round. So maybe some interesting matchups there, but just good to see what the tennis world has in store. Any other final notes, or I think it's a good place. We've got a big Fritz Alcaraz final that we got to get our naps in today for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, it'd be certainly be early in the morning our side. I think it'd be very early in the morning at your side. I don't know if you guys would be up for that. I think a very early start, but yeah, looking forward to that to see if Alcaraz can switch on in the final. You'd imagine he will, but yes, perhaps an opening here for Taylor Fritz, having won that last match. So a fascinating final coming up, and I think if you see Alcaraz win that final, you'll be seeing Sinner win on the other side, trying to keep pace as well, because I don't think they'll be wanting to get the other guy getting one up on the other one.
No, and I wonder, trophy collection, that's bragging rights too. Doesn't matter. They want to know when they're comparing their year, who had more wins, who had more titles, all the metrics. So could very good chance they'll see each other in Shanghai too, which is great to see. But one final note, the daily double again, it's going to be the over on the games in Lys Kessler, Beijing WTA 1000, and the under on the games in the ATP Beijing 500 semifinal between Sinner and Minaur, plus 227, 230 range or so?
237, I think the double paid. So yeah,
right.
Hopefully we can get those up this week.
Doubles riding high, so we'll be bracing for that to hit again. Tim Dennis, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for talking tennis with me on the show.
Yeah, really enjoyed it. Looking forward to the rest of these matches coming up. Thanks, Mitch.
Betting Weekly Tennis Live, your favorite tennis gambling show, 1 o'clock Eastern time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all part of the Bet Rivers Network, all through tennis season. The grind and the show doesn't stop. For Tim Dennis, I'm Mitch Michals. Download the Bet Rivers app, follow us on socials at Because We Win, and enjoy the action. This was Betting Weekly Tennis Live. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Talk to you then. Enjoy the tennis, everyone.